shot of the night sky. The various heavenly bodies stand out in sharp, sparkling relief. The camera moves slowly across the heavens until it passes the horizon and stops on a sign that reads Maple Street. It is daytime. Then we see the street below. It is a quiet, tree-lined, small town, American street. The houses have front porches on which people sit and swing on gliders, talking across from house to house. Steve Brand is polishing his car, which is parked in front of his house. His neighbor Don Martin leans against the fender watching him. An ice cream vendor riding a bicycle is just in the process of stopping to sell some ice cream to a couple of kids. Two women gossip on the front lawn. Another man is watering his lawn with a garden hose. As we see these various activities, we hear the narrator's voice.
Maple Street, USA, late summer. A tree-lined little world of front porch gliders, hopscotch, and the laughter of children, and the bell of an ice cream vendor.
There is a pause, and the camera moves over to a shot of the ice cream vendor and two small boys who are standing alongside just buying ice cream.
At the sound of the roar and the flash of the light, it'll be precisely 6:43 p.m. on Maple Street.
At this moment, Tommy, one of the two boys buying ice cream from the vendor, looks up to listen to a tremendous screeching roar from overhead. A flash of light plays on both faces of both boys, and then moves down the street and disappears. Various people leave their porches or stop what they are doing to stare up at the sky. Steve Brand, the man who has been polishing his car, stands there transfixed, staring upwards. He looks at Don Martin, his neighbor, from across the street.
What was that? A meteor?
That's what it looked like. I didn't hear any crash though. Did you?
No, I didn't hear anything except a roar.
What was that?
I guess it was a meteor, honey. Came awful close, didn't it?
Too close for my money. Much too close.
Come on, Mr. Pitt. The camera takes us across the porches again. A man is replacing a light bulb on a front porch. He gets off his stool to flick the switch and finds that nothing happens. Another man is working on an electric power mower. He plugs in the plug, flicks the switch of the mower on and off, but nothing happens. Through a window, we see a woman pushing her finger up and down the dial hook of a telephone. Her voice sounds far away.
Operator, something's wrong on the phone. Operator.
Steve, the power's off. I had to stick on the stove and the stove just stopped working.
Same thing over here. I can't get anybody on the phone either. The phone seems to be dead.
Electricity off. The phone won't work. Can't get a thing on the radio. My power mower won't move. Won't work at all. The radio's gone dead.
I'll cut through the backyard to see if the power's still on 403. I'll be right back.
He walks past the side of his house and disappears into the backyard. The camera pans down slowly until we are looking at 10 or 11 people standing around the street and overflowing to the curb and sidewalk. In the background is Steve Brand's car.
It doesn't make sense. Why should the power go off all of a sudden in the phone line?
Maybe some kind of electrical storm or something. That don't seem likely. Sky is just as blue as anything. Not a cloud, no lightning, no thunder, no nothing. How could it be a storm?
I can't get a thing on the radio, not even the portable.
Well, why don't you go downtown and check with the police? They'll probably think we're crazy or something. A little power failure and right away we all get flustered and everything.
It isn't just the power failure, Charlie. If it was, we'd still be able to get a broadcast on the portable. I'll run downtown. We'll get this all straightened out.
All right. He gets in the car and turns the key. Looking through the open car door, we see the crowd watching Steve from the other side. He starts the engine. It turns over sluggishly and then stops dead. He tries it again, and this time he can't get it to turn over. Then very slowly he turns the key back to off and gets out of the car. The people stare at Steve. He stands for a moment by the car and then walks toward them.
I don't understand. It was working fine before.
Don, what?
Next page.
Don, wait, and we never, what?
No, it's not.
I'm
just had it filled. What's it mean?
Oh,
Charlie.
it's just as if everything had stopped. We'd better walk downtown.
The two of us can go, Charlie. It couldn't be the meteor. A meteor couldn't do this.
He and Charlie exchange a look. Then they start to walk away from the group. Tommy comes into view. He is a serious-faced young boy in spectacles. He stands halfway between the group and the two men who start to walk down the sidewalk.
Mr. Brand, you better not.
Tommy, come to the front.
Why not?
They don't want you to.
Who doesn't want us to?
Oh, them.
Them?
Who are them?
Pay attention.
Whoever was in the thing that came by overhead.
What?
Whoever was in that thing that came over. I don't think they want us to leave here.
Steve leaves Charlie, walks over to the boy, and puts his hand on the boy's shoulder. He forces his voice to remain gentle.
What do you mean? And what are you talking about?
They don't want us to leave. That's why they shut everything off.
What makes you say that? Whatever gave you that idea?
Now, isn't that the craziest thing you've ever heard? It's always that way in every story I've ever read about. A ship landing from outer space.
From outer space? Yet. Sally, you better get that boy of yours up to bed. He's been reading too many comic books or seeing too many movies or something.
Tommy, come over here and stop that kind of talk.
Go ahead, Tommy. We'll be right back. And you'll see, that wasn't any ship or anything like it. It was just a meteor or something. Likely as not. No doubt, it did have something to do with all this power failure and the rest of it. Meteors can do some crazy things, like sunspots.
Sure, that's the kind of thing, like sunspots. They raise Cain with radio reception all over the world. And this thing being so close, why there's no telling the sort of stuff we can do. Go ahead, Charlie. You and Steve go into the town and see if that isn't what's causing it all.
Steve and Charlie walk away from the group down the sidewalk as the people watch silently. Tommy stares at them, biting his lips until finally he calls out again.
Mr. Brand? Mr. Brand, please don't leave here.
Steve and Charlie stop once again and turn toward the boy. In the crowd, there's a murmur of irritation and concern as if the boy's words, even though they didn't make sense, were bringing up fears that shouldn't be brought up.
You might not even be able to get to town. It was that way in every story. Nobody could leave. Nobody except
Except who?
the people that were sent ahead of them. They looked just like humans. And it wasn't until the ship landed that.
The boy suddenly stops, conscious of the people staring at him and his mother, and of the sudden hush of the crowd. So you'll stand staring at Tommy.
Tommy, please, son, honey, don't talk that way.
That kid shouldn't talk that way. And we shouldn't be standing here listening to him. Well, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. The kid tells us a comic book plot, and here we stand listening.
Go ahead, Tommy. What kind of story was this? What about the people they sent out ahead?
That was the way they prepared things for the landing. They sent 4 people, a mother, a father, and 2 kids who looked just like humans, but they weren't.
There's another silence as Steve looks toward the crowd and then toward Tommy. He wears a tight grin.
Well, I guess we better do it is run a check on everybody in the neighborhood to see which one of us are really human.
Okay, we're going to stop Act 1.